All right, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to introduce our speaker for today, Mandy Reed. Mandy Reed is the MSU Extension faculty in Wheatland County. She has been there 19 years and serves the county in all sorts of different ways. Um, just last year, she was recognized as MSU's Distinguished Faculty. So we're really honored to have her here today. She also facilitates a local Big Sky Big Leadership program in Wheatland County and along the Musselshell River Valley. So we're excited to hear what she has to share on values. Mandy, turn it over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you and welcome everybody. Thank you for taking a few minutes to join me this morning. And I'm also really grateful for the opportunity to share about this topic. I really love diving into values. It's an activity that I find is really helpful for professionals as well as youth and the groups that I work with. So as professionals, we're really in the public eye and we're observed by our community and by our customers. And so it's really important that we understand our values and how our values also overlap in our organization's values. And so what I'm going to share with you today is based on the research from the Leadership Challenge, which some of you might have heard of by Kouzes and Posner. So you can look that up if you want to. All right, so I'd like to just take a second and have you look at this quote. At the core of becoming a leader is the need to always connect your voice to your touch. So I'm going to ask you to just pop in the chat what that means to you. When you read that, what do you hear? What are you thinking? And then Katie, if you see anything come up, if you could share it out, because I can't actually see the chat. If anybody
Abs-
has anything to share.
Absolutely. So they're coming in. Molly says your actions must match your words. It means to be real,
Yeah,
live your values, um,
exactly.
walk your talk.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it means. So that our actions need to match our words. We need to let our values guide how we're going to make decisions for our daily actions. And in order to help us do that better, oh yeah, be genuine, no faking. Um, be authentic. Nobody's ever seen a leader, right, where they're like, oh my gosh, they're so fake and so pretend. I really like them. So we need to be familiar with our values so that we can use those to guide our decisions and our daily actions. And so we're going to just spend some time this morning actually going through an exercise that'll allow you to identify your values for yourself. So what we're going to do today, so why is it important to know our core values? So number one, it's going to help with our engagement in our work. So people or employees who are really strong and know their values and then how they relate to their either the group that you volunteer with or your organization are more effective. It's going to help us understand conflict. And then it's also going to help us make decisions and set priorities. So that's why they're important and what we're going to go through today. So I want to just spend a second talking about our work. So this could be your work with or your organization, volunteers, wherever you're spending your time, and your core values. So the more committed we are more committed to our work, the more we can see how our values overlap our organization's values. And so one thing I was thinking of this morning that I wanted to share is I work for a research-based institution and share research-based information in my community. But one of my core values is creativity. And so I have that opportunity to be creative in the way that I identify and meet those needs in my community. So I'm able to keep that core value of creativity and have that overlap with my core values and my position. So we also need the opportunity to express those values. And then when we are more committed to our values and we understand those, we're just seen as more credible in our work. So understanding conflicts. I had to toss in this picture of these guard dogs because I love the picture. I love this sheep. But also, these guard dogs are reminding me that we aren't going to have a conflict here. That's their lane, and I need to stay in my lane. And so I don't know if this ever happens to you, but sometimes if I have a conflict where I think to myself, gosh, why is that bothering me so much? Why am I so upset about that? Why am I so conflicted with that? It's because one of my core values has been compromised, or I feel like it has, or I've made up a story that it has. Um, so if we understand those values, we can help understand our conflicts. And if we understand the values of the people we're working with, we can also understand and avoid conflicts with them. So if I'm sure you can think of examples there as well, but that just helps us understand and avoid those conflicts and maybe dive into those a little bit more. So making decisions and setting priorities. Have any of you had a very full plate, like this plate of fruit where you can't really balance anything else on there? And then something else comes up and, oh, it sounds so fun, or it sounds so good, or it's so needed in your community. And you just want to add that program, or you want to take on that activity. You want to join that organization because, man, what they're doing is so important. But so being clear on our values can help us make that decision. That can help us understand if this is something that fits into our values and something that we should be doing. And if it doesn't, that's okay, because it gives us an opportunity to say, wow, that opportunity is great, but it doesn't align with what I'm doing right now. And I'm going to leave that open for someone else to fill that opportunity. So it does give us that chance with our full plate to make those decisions. All right, so now you guys have heard me talk at you for a long time this morning, first off. So we're going to jump in here, and I'm hoping you can see this list of values on your computer. And if you can't, if you go to the chat, there's a link, and you can hop over on that link and find this list of values on your browser there. But what I'd like you to do is grab a pen or pencil, something to write with, and some paper to write on. And I'm going to give you a few minutes. And I'd like you to read through this list of values and write down kind of 10 or 12 of these values that are important to you. So I'm just going to give you, let's just take a few minutes, maybe 5 or 7 minutes to read through those. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat and we'll try to answer them. Maybe when you're done, you can raise your hand or something so that we kind of know how people are doing. Yeah, let us know if you're having any issues seeing the slide. Yeah, and Katie had a great tip. If you need to zoom in, you can use the plus or minus buttons. So we'll just take another couple minutes to finish up your list. And I should have said at the beginning, none of these values, there's no like secret best values. There's no, you shouldn't choose the values that you think your mom would want you to have or someone else would want you to have. These need to be the values that really speak to you. All right, I'm seeing a few people finishing up. So if you're still finishing, that's okay. And if you're done, we'll go ahead and move on. So what I'd like to do next is I would like you to, from this list, I would like you to underline, say 5 to 7 that really stand out to you. So these are more important values. These are important. These are values that stand out. So from your list that you've just written, I'd like you to underline five to 7 of those. So this shouldn't take too long. We're just going to take a minute and go through. And we're not saying the other values aren't important. We're just saying that these are more important. So we're just going to take a couple of minutes there. Okay, I see some thumbs up. Sometimes this can be kind of hard for people. So don't overthink it. Just pick that kind of 5. And if you need a couple extra, 5 to 7. Okay. So now what I'm going to ask you to do is from those, I'm going to ask you to pick 2, maybe 3, but mostly 2, and circle. And these are the values that are just the core values. If these values, like these are the deal breaker values for you. So from your list, you've underlined your 5 to 7, and those are your more important values. And then I need you to circle, the 2, maybe 3, of those core values, those deal breakers. I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. And I'm just going to ask if you'd like to, you don't have to, but if you'd like to share what you circled, you can go ahead and pop that in the chat. Mm. Those are awesome. Authenticity, honesty. Oh, they're coming in so fast I can't read them. Fantastic. All right. Thank you. Nice. Very nice. Oh, I wish we were all together. I wish we could be in the same space to go through these. All right. Excellent. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being willing to share those. Okay, so when I do this in person with my leadership groups, sometimes what I have found is that step is really hard for people. And I've had people actually kind of stack different cards. They've kind of like snuck them in there underneath and cheat a little bit with their values. And so what I decided I wanted to do with you guys today is to give you the chance. Let's see, we'll move. My PowerPoint. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, phew. Give you the chance today to think about one of the values that you circled it and let you define that in your own words. So that way it would be like you don't have to stack those values. You can just define that yourself. So by diving into that and thinking for a second, what does that mean to me and why is that different from what it might mean to someone else, just gives us a chance to articulate and really dive into that value. So again, this morning, I'm kind of pushing on you guys a little bit, but giving you quite a bit of homework. But let's just take a minute and jot down how you would define that value for yourself. And maybe what does that look like? How do you bring that to the groups that you work with? Um, and if you'd like to share that in the chat, that would be awesome. And if you don't, oh, Katie's asking if I have an example of this. So I am thinking one of my values is honesty and integrity. And so that goes both ways. I am extremely transparent and honest. And even if it's unpopular, I find it really difficult kind of to break or bend the rules. And I also very much value working with people where I can be honest. And so what that looks like is I'm transparent in my meetings. I am transparent, like if I write a grant and make a budget, if something changes, I communicate with my grant people. I communicate with my 4-Hers. I admit my mistakes pretty readily and freely. So I should have thought of a more fun one. Nice. All right. So we are, I need to honor everybody's time this morning. Oh, thank you. Thanks for for sharing, you guys. Those are really wonderful. All right. So we have about 2 minutes left. And so I just want to quickly summarize what we've gone over this morning. So when we clarify our personal values, it improves our commitment to our work and guides us in our actions as a leader. And also, it's important to understand that when we act authentically, we increase the amount of trust and respect that we have with those who we work with. So even if they don't share our values, they know our values and they know that we're going to act according to our values. And it gives us clarity, or in having clarity on your values allows you to articulate those and improve your decisions. And so I put in this picture of our pony whisper. He's actually Riley's, my daughter's pony whisper, because he is an incredibly authentic little leader. He does his own thing, his own way, and really he has stranger danger. He doesn't like to be pet by strangers and always acts pretty authentically. You can't even buy him over with treats. So plus, who doesn't like a picture of a cute horse and some stuff in the mornings? So with that, I have finished 1 minute and 20 seconds early. So that just opens it up for time for you guys to discuss and have questions. So I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over.
Great. Thanks, Mandy. Lots of interaction this morning. So we have some time for questions. There's already one coming in from Kim. Do you find that your values can change?
I find that mine do. So some don't. Honesty, integrity are always going to be there. But I've had, depending on where I'm at, sometimes joy pops up, sometimes hope pops up, sometimes beauty. I'm really connected to beautiful spaces. So those pop up and change. So I think absolutely.
Great. We have another one here. If I'm not sure what my core values are, how could I find out what they are? And do you have suggestions of approaches and practices to that?
Oh, wow. Um, if the list was hard for you this morning, I would suggest getting, there's the Leadership Challenge has a deck of cards that have all those words on it. And so I would suggest going through those and you can just physically see them and lay them out in front of you and choose important, not important. Oops. And then kind of go through this exercise again and just see what comes up. And then sometimes you hear somebody else present one in a different way and you think, ooh, yeah, that sounds like me. So that's not a very scientific answer. If anybody else has something else, that's how I would approach it.
Mandy, I would offer a couple things that I've seen others do, if that's
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Stacy says, yeah, and please put stuff in the chat if you know. Stacy says there's a Gallup test. Um, Uta, one of the things that I think I have found useful is just paying attention when I'm in uh,
Mm,
personal or professional, when I get triggered about something that makes me mad or like upset, or I try to pay attention to what that is and maybe ask myself why, the multiple whys. Not always, but often underlying that is um, maybe one of my core values is being stepped upon by someone else or by a group or a process. I think just another thing I would add is if you as you land on something, you can work with a partner and use a practice of discernment. So, if the word is integrity, that is your core value, you can ask someone can ask you, why isn't it honesty? Why isn't it transparency? And so you can start to work with the definition and understand, oh, maybe it actually is an integrity. Maybe transparency is my core values. So it's a process. It's not something that you just do quickly.
yeah, great question.
Any other questions? We still have five or so minutes. Please put them in the chat. Mandy, I had a quick question for you. You had us quickly define in our own words and then in actions. Can you just tell me a little bit more about why that step is important?
I think it is important to first off know the definition of what that means to you. So if I say my core value is beauty, I've actually had people push back because they think that it means like fashion or something like that. And then so I have to define it for them like it's my space beauty in the things around me and the spaces around me, and I'm really connected to natural beauty and things like that. So I found myself defining it, and so I think that's helpful to understand what that looks like. And like, or honesty. So I heard yesterday in a class that I took that honesty without tact is cruelty. So very much value being, kind to people, but also I value honesty. So being able to have that opportunity to define it for yourself helps, I think, is really helpful. Um, and builds that clarity. And then I just like the idea of the actions because that helps guide how we're interacting with our groups and communities. So if we value honesty, or if we value belonging and we're coming into our group and not creating that space of belonging for the people who are there, then we're not acting authentically and it probably doesn't feel very good. But then also it gives us tools to use so that we can make sure that we're doing that. Like, oh yeah, that moment of chit chatting is really important to me because I want people to feel like they belong. And so then we can communicate that or facilitate that. And if anybody else has anything to add in there, please do.
We have an interesting question from Ashley. Have you found value in defining both practiced and aspirational values, or is it more helpful to just have one set of core values?
Oh, I don't know. I have never pondered that question. Do we aspire to value something? Or do we learn about it and then it becomes like, is it a curiosity? Ooh, this is fun. Does it start as like a curiosity and then maybe grow into a value? Like I'm curious about, I don't, ecology or grow something, I don't know. And so I learn more about it and then it becomes a value. So that's not an answer, that's a question. If anybody else has an answer to that, I would be happy
Yeah.
to hear it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. This is where it would be so nice to be in a room together because we would probably dive into a 15, 20-minute discussion. I guess the one thing that came up for me there, Ashley, is are they aspirational? because you're evolving and growing, or are they aspirational because you feel some external pressure to be something other than what you are? Um, so I think maybe pulling those apart might be helpful. I feel like they're, as leaders, as folks who work in communities, just as partners, as people, we have a lot of external pressure and expectations to be certain ways. So yeah, as long as it's not someone else being like, you should be more, I would just caution folks to be fully aware there. But if it's like, hey, I'm evolving and I maybe want to lean into this space, as Mandy said, of curiosity and learning, I think that would be really neat kind of place to explore.
Ooh, that's a great point too. That if you there's a value you admire and recognize in someone else, it means you possess it too. Or so I know also like I appreciate people who value fun because I'm not good at fun. And so I need those people around me to help me. So I think both of those things.
Well, and I would add too on the admire, Mandy, is maybe you admire it, but you don't know how to put it into practice for yourself, right? I
Yeah,
think circling back to being authentic and like it's gonna, in practice, values are gonna look different. Same values are gonna look different in different people because we're different, right? And how we approach the world.
absolutely. Great comments this morning, you guys. Thank you.
So we have time for a couple more questions or comments. Well, Mandy, in case nothing else comes in, any kind of last thoughts, advice to send us out the door with this morning in
Well, I
this
hope it's
realm?
I just hope this has been helpful. If you do it again and they change, that's totally like that's pretty normal. Don't worry about it. And I hope it's something fun for you to play with and think about, and also something to check into and help you just appreciate your authentic leadership style. And so appreciate what's different and what you value that might not be the same as what your groups value with you. Um, and how what you bring. So thank you. Thanks for this morning.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Mandy. We will be here next week, learning about emotional intelligence. So I hope you can join us then. Otherwise, have a great Tuesday and great week, and we'll see you soon.
Oh shoot, I forgot to share the last slide. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. All right, take
Thank you
care,
guys.
everyone. Have a good week.